1 Samuel 21. Then David came to Nob to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech came trembling to meet David, and said to him, Why are you alone, and no one is with you? And David said to Ahimelech the priest, The king has commanded me with a matter, and has said to me, Let no one know anything about the matter on which I am sending you, and with which I have commanded you, and I have directed the young men to a certain place. So now, what do you have on hand? Give 5 loaves of bread into my hand, or whatever can be found. And the priest answered David and said, There is no ordinary bread on hand, but there is consecrated bread, if only the young men have kept themselves from women. And David answered the priest and said to him, Surely women have been kept from us as previously when I set out, and the vessels of the young men were holy, though it was an ordinary journey. How much more then today will their vessels be holy? So the priest gave him consecrated bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of the presence, which was removed from before Yahweh, in order to put hot bread in its place when it was taken away. Now one of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before Yahweh, and his name was Doeg the Edomite, the chief of Saul's shepherds. And David said to Ahimelech, Now is there not a spear or a sword on hand? For I brought neither my sword nor my weapons in my hand, because the king's matter was urgent. Then the priest said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you struck down in the valley of Elah, behold, it is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you would take it for yourself, take it, for there is no other except it here. And David said, There is none like it. Give it to me. Then David arose and fled that day from Saul, and went to Achish, king of Gath. But the servants of Achish said to him, Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing of this one as they danced, saying, Saul has struck his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And David took these words to heart, and greatly feared Achish, king of Gath. So he disguised his sanity in their sight, and acted insanely in their hands, and scribbled on the doors of the gate, and let his saliva run down onto his beard. Then Achish said to his servants, Behold, you see the man behaving as a madman. Why do you bring him to me? Do I lack madmen that you have brought this one to act the madman before me? Shall this one come into my house? 1 Samuel 22. So David departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam, and his brothers and all his father's household heard of it and went down there to him. Then everyone who is in distress, and everyone who is in debt, and everyone who has bitter of soul gathered to him, and he became a commander over them. Now there were about 400 men with him. And David went from there to Mizpah of Moab, and he said to the king of Moab, Please, let my father and my mother come and stay with you until I know what God will do for me. Then he left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him all the time that David was in the fortress. And the prophet Gad said to David, Do not stay in the fortress. Go and enter into the land of Judah. So David went and entered into the forest of Hereth. Then Saul heard that David and the men who were with him had been discovered. Now Saul was sitting in Gibeah, under the tamarisk tree on the height, with his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing around him. And Saul said to his servants who were standing around him, Hear now, O Benjamites, will the son of Jesse also give to all of you fields and vineyards? Will he make you all commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds? For all of you have conspired against me, so that there is no one who reveals in my ear when my son cuts a covenant with the son of Jesse. And there is none of you who is sorry for me, or reveals in my ear that my son has caused my servant to rise up against me to lie in ambush, as it is this day. Then Doeg the Edomite, who was standing by the servants of Saul, said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Ahimelech the son of Ahitub. And he asked of Yahweh for him, gave him provisions, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Then the king sent someone to summon Ahimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's household, the priests who were in Nob, and all of them came to the king. And Saul said, Listen now, son of Ahitub. And he answered, Here I am, my lord. Saul then said to him, Why have you and the son of Jesse conspired against me, in that you have given him bread and a sword, and have asked of God on his behalf, so that he would rise up against me by lying in ambush, as it is this day. Then Ahimelech answered the king and said, And who among all your servants is as faithful as David, even the king's son-in-law, who is captain over your guard and is honored in your house? Did I just begin to ask of God on his behalf today? Far be it from me. Do not let the king impute anything to his servant, or to any of the household of my father, for your servant knows nothing small or great of this whole affair. But the king said, You shall surely die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's household. And the king said to the guards who were standing by him, Turn around and put the priest of Yahweh to death, because their hand also was with David, and because they knew that he was fleeing and did not reveal it in my ears. But the servants of the king were not willing to send forth their hands to fall upon the priests of Yahweh. Then the king said to Doeg, You turn around and attack the priests. And Doeg the Edomite turned around and attacked the priests, and he put to death that day 85 men who wore the linen ephod. So he struck Nob, the city of the priests, with the edge of the sword, both men and women, infants and nursing babies. Also oxen, donkeys, and sheep he struck with the edge of the sword. But one son of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the priest of Yahweh. Then David said to Abiathar, I knew on that day, when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, It is I who have turned against every person in your father's household. Stay with me, do not be afraid, for he who seeks my life seeks your life, for you are safe with me. 1 Corinthians 3. And I, brothers, was not able to speak to you as to spiritual men, but as to fleshly men, as to infants in Christ. I gave you milk to drink, not solid food, for you are not able to receive it. Indeed, even now you are still not able, for you are still fleshly. For since there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not fleshly? And are you not walking like mere men? For when one says, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos, are you not mere men? What then is Apollos, and what is Paul? Servants through whom you believed, even as the Lord gave to each one. I planted, Apollos watered, but God was causing the growth. So then neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but God who causes the growth. Now he who plants and he who waters are one, but each will receive his own reward according to his own labor. For we are God's fellow workers, you are God's field, God's building. According to the grace of God which was given to me, like a wise master builder I laid a foundation, and another is building on it. But each man must be careful how he builds on it. For no one can lay a foundation other than the one which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Now if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each man's work will become evident. For the day will indicate it, because it is revealed with fire, and the fire itself will test the quality of each man's work. If any man's work which he has built on it remains, he will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. Do you not know that you are a sanctuary of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If any man destroys the sanctuary of God, God will destroy him. For the sanctuary of God is holy, and that is what you are. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you thinks that he is wise in this age, he must become foolish, so that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness before God. For it is written, He is the one who catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the reasonings of the wise, that they are useless. So then, let no one boast in men, for all things belong to you, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas, or the world or life or death, or things present or things to come. All things belong to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God. Ezekiel 1. Now it happened in the 30th year, on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was by the river Chebar among the exiles, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. On the 5th of the month in the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's exile, the word of Yahweh came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and there the hand of Yahweh came upon him. Then I looked, and behold, a storm wind was coming from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing forth continually, and a bright light all around it, and in its midst something like the gleam of glowing metal in the midst of the fire. And within it there were figures with the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings, and their legs were straight, and their feet were like a calf's hoof, and they sparkled like the gleam of burnished bronze. And under their wings on their 4 sides were hands of a man. As for the faces and the wings of the 4 of them, their wings touched one another. Their faces did not turn as they went, each went straight forward. And as for the likeness of their faces, each had the face of a man. All 4 had the face of a lion on the right, and on the face of a bull on the left, and all 4 had the face of an eagle. And such were their faces. Their wings were spread out above. Each had 2 touching another being, and 2 covering their bodies. And each went straight forward. Wherever the Spirit was about to go, they would go, without turning as they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches going back and forth among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and lightning was flashing from the fire. And the living creatures ran to and fro with the appearance of lightning. Then I looked at the living creatures, and behold, there was 1 wheel on the earth beside the living creatures, for each of the 4 of them. The appearance of the wheels and their workmanship was like the gleam of beryl, and all 4 of them had the same likeness, their appearance and workmanship being as if 1 wheel were within another. Whenever they went in any of their 4 directions without turning as they went. And as for their rims, they were lofty and awesome, and the rims of all 4 of them were full of eyes all around. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wheels also rose. Wherever the Spirit was about to go, they would go in that direction, where the Spirit was about to go. And the wheels rose alongside of them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Whenever those went, these went. And whenever those stood still, these stood still. And whenever those arose from the earth, the wheels rose close beside them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Now over the heads of the living creatures there was something like the likeness of an expanse, like the awesome gleam of a crystal, spread out over their heads above. And underneath the expanse their wings were stretched out straight, one toward the other. Each one also had 2 wings covering its body on the one side and on the other. I also heard the sound of their wings like the sound of many waters as they went, like the sound of the Almighty, a sound of tumult like the sound of an army camp. Whenever they stood still, they dropped their wings. And there came a sound from above the expanse that was over their heads. Whenever they stood still, they dropped their wings. Now above the expanse that was over their heads there was something in the likeness of a throne, like sapphire stone in appearance, and upon the likeness of the throne, high up, was the likeness of one with the appearance of a man. Then I saw from the appearance of his loins and upward something like the gleam of glowing metal with the appearance of fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his loins and downward, I saw something with the appearance of fire, and there was a radiance all around him. As the appearance of the rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the radiance all around. Such was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. And I saw this, and I fell on my face, and heard a sound of a voice speaking. Psalm 37. Aleph. Do not fret because of evildoers. Be not envious toward doers of unrighteousness, for they will wither quickly like the grass and fade like the green herb. Beth. Trust in Yahweh and do good. Dwell in the land and cultivate faithfulness. Delight yourself in Yahweh, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Gimel. Commit your way to Yahweh. Trust in him, and he will do it. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your judgment as the noonday. Daleth. Be still in Yahweh, and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who carries out schemes of wickedness. Hey, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil-doing, for evildoers will be cut off. But those who hope for Yahweh, they will inherit the land. Vav. Yet a little while, and the wicked man will be no more. You will look carefully at his place, and he will not be there. But the lowly will inherit the land, and will delight themselves in abundant peace. Zion. The wicked schemes against the righteous, and gnashes at him with his teeth. The Lord laughs at him, for he sees that his day is coming. Hath. The wicked have drawn the sword and bent their bow to cast down the afflicted and the needy, to slay those who are upright in conduct. Their sword will enter their own heart, and their bows will be broken. Taith. Better is the little of the righteous than the abundance of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked will be broken, but Yahweh sustains the righteous. Yod. Yahweh knows the days of the blameless, and their inheritance will be forever. They will not be ashamed in the time of evil, and in the days of famine they will be satisfied. Kaf. But the wicked will perish, and the enemies of Yahweh will be like the glory of the pastures. They vanish in smoke, they vanish away. Lamed. The wicked borrows and does not pay back, but the righteous is gracious and gives. For those blessed by him will inherit the land, but those cursed by him will be cut off. Mem. The footsteps of a man are established by Yahweh, and he delights in his way. When he falls, he will not be hurled headlong, because Yahweh is the one who sustains his hand. Noon. I was young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread. All day long he is gracious and lends, and his seed is a blessing. Samach. Depart from evil and do good, so you will dwell forever. Ayin. For Yahweh loves justice, and he will not forsake his holy ones. They are kept forever, but the seed of the wicked will be cut off. The righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it forever. Pei. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. The law of his God is in his heart. His steps do not slip. Tzadeh. The wicked spies upon the righteous and seeks to put him to death. Yahweh will not forsake him in his hand. He will not condemn him when he is judged. Koph. Hope for Yahweh and keep his way, and he will exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you will see it. Resh. I have seen a wicked, ruthless man, spreading himself like a luxuriant tree in its native soil. Then he passed away, and behold, he was no more. I sought for him, but he could not be found. Shin. Observe the blameless man, and behold the upright. For the man of peace will have a posterity, but transgressors will be altogether destroyed. The posterity of the wicked will be cut off. Tav. But the salvation of the righteous is from Yahweh. He is their strength in time of distress. Yahweh helps them and protects them. He protects them from the wicked and saves them, because they take refuge in him.